the premiere of The Return of the Curse of the Creature's Ghost, already in progress.
He's dead. This is it. My friends, I'm afraid this is the return of the curse of the creature's ghost.
But how must we stop this creature?
It's not the creature we have to be afraid of, ma'am. It's the creature's ghost. I think we should be worried more about the return of the curse.
Curse of the creature?
Curse of the ghost! Oh! The ghost has returned with the creature's curse!
So the creature put a curse on the ghost. Please, everyone, we must know what it is we're supposed to be afraid of.
I was working in the lab late one night when my eyes beheld an eerie sight. For a monster from its lair began to rise, and
Hello,
suddenly,
Spiked on One.
to my
Hello, Max
surprise, here
Velcro.
the monster mash. It was a graveyard smash. It caught on in a flash.
Gotta
It
wait
is
for
a
the end of the
monster mash. The laboratory is the castle east. The master bedroom where the vampires feast.
Vampire's Feast. Hello and welcome to
Hi.
Question Block. Hi, Max.
Hi. Do we know Max? I don't know.
We
Oh my
do
god,
know
I'm gonna have a
Max.
list.
Yeah, Max has some creepy events coming up. We'll talk about.
Oh
that in a
yeah.
bit. First, we have to introduce ourselves and talk about the theme of the show. So I'm the Lord Wires. I am a very young-looking 3,000 years old.
And I am
I'm a ghoul.
your ghoul.
Because I don't have fangs.
Well, not yet.
Not yet.
You wait till because you have that lace thing over your protecting your neck. See, this was my mistake. My neck is wide open.
Who are you?
I'm the mysterious aerialist. The vampire.
The vampire.
The vampire.
Hi, honey.
Yeah.
Great. So yeah, this week we're gonna be talking about. Last week, famously, we talked about the occult and ghosts, and summoning ghosts, and Ouija boards, and ghouls in the spiritual realm. This week we're talking about, very much influenced by Gothic and Romantic literature, monsters, which includes.
Well, monsters is like being racist against them, I think.
So Ariel reread Frankenstein, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and it was more so than even when you first read it. If you read it with the monster really is the victim in all of it.
But it's what I'm
and
saying.
it's
Don't
very
call them
sad.
monsters.
So don't
They're
call
just
them
like
monsters. Creatures.
they're yeah.
The undead.
Yeah, I guess that's what we could
Laboratory experiments. But yeah, so yeah, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and before Bram Stoker there were
Oh my
actually
gosh, we're
some
gonna
much
talk
more popular vampire
so much
novels.
about that.
We're going to talk about just Lord Byron in general, and being sort of a sexy dark person.
Okay,
I
that's
guess.
my
sexy
territory.
goth person. I'm just previewing. And then we're going to talk somewhat about zombies, and zombies are really interesting or fascinating because they're not really of the Western tradition.
They're Haitian.
They're Haitian.
The Haitian
which
sensation.
Which I guess is originally African. So yeah, we'll discuss all of those kind of undead creatures, not ghosts, not things that haunt you.
I think that's I think we can call them revenants because like revenant is something that comes back from the dead, and
There we go.
Frankenstein's
But not werewolves.
monster.
Werewolves. Don't
Well, that's true. They're like the Hulk. They're like the original Hulk.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess we should get into it. Do you have anything else to say at the top of the show?
Oh yeah, we're broadcasting live from Secret Loft or from a graveyard, or both.
The graveyard. I mean, this is the graveyard. But this was what was backstage at Secret Loft, actually.
A graveyard, yeah, where everyone. I was gonna say something really morbid, but yeah.
Okay.
For everyone's dreams.
Yeah. So why don't you go ahead and kick it off? When did sort of the
Okay, I have notes because because vampire.
So we'll do kind of like last week. We'll do little educational segments interspersed with interviews
Going live with
and
you
going
guys.
live with people. Sensible sights.
Very sensible sights.
Whoa.
Oh, whoa! I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
That's me trying to start the Twitch.
I'm just talking
doing
over accidents that might be happening
doing a
in the
terrible
background.
job here. Sorry.
Okay, so I think the first written autocorrect death. So the first written account of vampires, I think, is around in the 16th century, with Silesia, and most of these are poems actually, up until the 1800s. They're all poems, or like epic poems. So there's a story from Silesia about this guy whose name was Johannes Cuntius.
Nice.
And do you want to guess how he died? Like as a human? It has something to do with his name. Not Johannes, but Cuntius.
His hands were crushed. Oh, he died, from sex to death?
He was kicked
An STD?
He was kicked in the dick by a horse.
Wow.
And
okay.
So he died, and he actually came back to haunt his family. And
this is the beginning of the Western tradition of revenants.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the first written.
Kicked.
He got kicked in the dick by a horse.
Okay.
Died, and then he was known as the bad breath vampire because he had really bad breath. And he came back to haunt his family.
So he was eating garlic already, perhaps.
Probably. And around this time, basically these stories about vampires were starting because people would dig up their dead, and they would find that their hair and their fingernails had been. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll talk about the science.
Yeah, I was like, you talk about the science, and I'll continue with the.
First off, just confusing that people were constantly digging up the dead, but I guess they were
like, let's
run
check
out of
on
room
them.
in the cemetery, or it's not clear why. I guess
I think they wanted to check on them.
I left my wallet in the casket, and so digging up the dead constantly back in in the area of I guess Romania, Eastern Europe, in when was it? 1600s, 1500s?
Yeah, 1600s.
Okay. Yeah, and so they, when you do dig up a body that's just been in a grave or whatever, because it's dried out and kind of shriveled a bit, the hair, your hair doesn't keep growing when you die, but it does look longer because your whole skin and everything else shrinks, kind of forcing the hair out, and your nails look longer because your skin sort of fills up around them. So they were like, oh my god, their hair's still growing and their nails are longer.
And
they must be alive.
And when the bacteria started to digest their organs and stuff, it would make them appear bloated and also force a lot of blood out of the mouths of these cadavers. And so they were like, oh my god, they're feeding on. They're look at them, they've gorged themselves.
They're feeding on the townspeople and growing their hair out from it. And the townspeople would not stand for it.
And so people were finding these corpses. This was later. People would find these corpses with bricks shoved in their mouth, which was an early way that people thought you could stop vampires from feeding on the townspeople. Shove a brick in their mouth. Shove a brick in their mouth. Can you guess any other ways that people tried to prevent them from?
I mean, shoving a brick in their mouth is great. Filling the casket with garlic is another one. And I think the other was just, even though you were dead, they would just stake you through the heart to make sure.
Yep.
Yeah, just stab you a bunch of times.
Also, if one were to attack you, one way to stop them, one of the earlier ways was to suck on their gums.
Yeah, this I didn't know.
Which I think was like actually developed by a vampire. It was just like he was like, suck on my gums.
That's
It'll
definitely somebody's
get rid of
kink
me.
right there.
So 16th century, you start seeing like very scattered like poems about vampires, right? And then in the 1812, there's a story called the Vampire with a Y, with a, like YRE.
1812, 200 years ago, they're writing the Vampire.
And this is the first time we see written like that they would stake their heart. Basically, vampires were basically they were like super annoying, and they would often come back to like haunt their own family. And so in this story, or epic poem, The Vampire, in 1812, this vampire, he told his wife, he was like, I've been having dreams that like my best friend who just died is coming back and like haunting me and eating me. And just so you know, when I die, I'm gonna do the same thing to you. And his wife was like, "Oh hell no!" And she like staked him in the heart while he was alive. So it's the first time we see like heart staking.
Yeah. So don't joke about that.
So there's also there's this story called Christabel, where there's the mysterious Geraldine. That's like the vampire in that story.
So a lot of these were written by Irish men, right? Like these early.
Like my vampire.
Because it wasn't like Eastern Europeans writing about their vampire folklore. This was already appropriation back in like the early 1800s.
Yeah.
Because like, Bram Stoker was like an Irish dude.
Oh yeah,
right?
He doesn't come until like the late 1800s. We're still in like 1812.
So yeah, the history of 1800s vampire. Like you dug pretty deep on this one.
I want to give you a couple of.
Can you give me the really like the sexy highlights if you could? Because I don't have time for a full primer.
Should we talk about Lord Byron?
Vampire literature. Yeah, he was in same thing. He was like mid 1800s, early 1800s.
No, he is. Yeah, he's like mid. And Lord Byron actually is like where a lot of people, where like the archetype like this vibe comes from, because he was like an early goth. He popularized low cut like V-necks. He had kind of like vampiric features. There's a word called a phrase called the Byronic hero, which is like the dark, brooding male.
It's like a world-weary, well-traveled.
Yeah, but man. Also like
it's a hipster, really.
It's a hipster, but it's
a sad boy hipster.
It's a sad boy hipster, and that comes from Lord Byron, who was famously like pansexual. And see, he also had a lot of pets. He had a pet bear, which he would bring to class because they didn't allow dogs in class. Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, was also like best friends with him. So there was this one. I'm going to talk about this one night. What was the year of that volcano again?
They actually don't overlap. I looked into it. Krakatoa was like way later.
Okay, so there was another volcano. There was this other volcano that made England incredibly.
It was Geneva. They were in Geneva that summer.
Right. But it made England and everywhere in Europe, it was very, very cold.
Geneva had a wet, cold summer.
Yes. And so they were feeling very spooky. And so Mary Shelley and Lord Byron, Mary Shelley's husband, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and Lord Byron's doctor, named Dr. John Polidori, they all, because
That's
Lord
a good
Byron.
name for a doctor.
Yeah, it sounds like a Pomeranian.
Yeah. This was back in the time when you could just bring your doctor with you when you went places.
Well, he was like a hypochondriac.
I guess Byron was famous by that time. Also, he was like a celebrated poet.
He was.
So he could afford to have a doctor.
And he was a trust fund kid too, so he could have afforded it from birth anyway.
He wasn't actually.
Oh.
I read up on Byron.
Really?
Yes, I know the deets.
Well,
his father was a nefarious, not pirate, but basically like a salty sailor, who like ruined his mother and like lost his mother did have a lot of money, and his father just like was massively in debt and spent her entire fortune, and then like I think went off and died when Byron was like a little kid.
Yeah.
So so his Byron's mother was apparently they had a really terrible relationship.
They did, yeah.
She was short and would chase him around the house, and he would yell at her and call her.
Well, this doesn't have anything to do with vampire. You wanted the quick vampire, and now you're derailing my vampire.
This is where it came from, though. Really, Lord Byron being mad at his mom.
True. So there's this one night where Byron's doctor and Mary Shelley and her husband, they're all like sitting around and they're like, "Yo, let's tell some ghost stories because it's really spooky, and let's make it spookier." So Byron reads a story, like an older vampire story called Christabel with the mysterious Geraldine, and there's this like line in it about Geraldine. This is like one of the first like erotic, like sexy vampires, a female mysterious Geraldine. There's a line in it about her like unzipping her like outer like coat or something. But Byron's doctor gets so freaked out, and he has really crazy dreams about. Do you want to guess?
Wasn't she had eyes on her nipples?
Yes, but this was like the doctor like had he had these dreams.
The Victorian era, this was absolutely horrifying.
It was horrifying. So yeah, nipples with eyes. Came from Christabel. And then John Polidori went on to write this story. This is the first prose about vampires, or the first like famous vampire prose.
Basically with Lord Byron.
Yes, it has a character named Lord Ruthven, and John Polidori's like the protagonist because there's kind of like this nebbish, like bookish guy, and then his friend is like the Count Lord Ruthven, who's basically Lord Byron.
So imagine if like your doctor published like a novel, and like there's a character who's has a name similar to him who is like the protagonist, and then there's a character who's just like you, who has like pretty much your name, who's like also in the novel. That you'd be annoyed. That violates patient confidentiality, I think.
But also, Lord Byron was like, "You're plagiarizing. Like, I'm supposed to be the writer, and also like, that's me." And Percy Dr. Polidori was like, "Dude, I'm sorry, but Byron had a really ruthless like publisher." Wow. And he was like a vampiric publisher actually, because he would suck the life out of you, and he was like, no, this is getting published. I'm not publishing it under Byron's name, and Polidori actually committed suicide because he was so upset over this whole ordeal. And ironically, Lord Byron kind of lives on like in the Byronic, like his vampiric like publishing agency kind of continues to give him new life because this sort of archetype of the sexy like Byronic hero comes from this story, and it lives on today.
Kind of.
Oh yeah,
but that's not. It's not from the. It's not from the book his doctor wrote. Byron's own like literature and his own poems were like more or less about himself. He was actually criticized heavily for it at the time. The like Pilgrim's what was it? The Child Pilgrim's Journey or whatever. Like his first like major epic poem that made him super famous. He's pretty much the main character. He was actually criticized. They were like, why is he even trying to write this from the point of view of like someone else? It's clearly just Byron's journal.
But the fact that like there have been a lot of like adaptations of this story that Polidori wrote, and it would be akin to like Tolkien. I was saying because Byron's first name.
You're talking about Game of Thrones.
No, I just was saying the name George because Lord Byron's first name was George. Pretty sure. No, if Tolkien was like a hobbit, like if everyone just pictured him like a hobbit, like that's kind of what happened to Lord Byron, or like if
I guess if Tolkien actually was a hobbit, then sure, it would be like, wow, well, he just wrote a story about himself. How lame.
Don't come on. I think it's super cool. Let's just go with it. Let's go with it. Byron lives on as sort of like a vampire, which is like the only author who's sort of seen as the character that they
agree
like.
To disagree. I think Polidoro is a fraud.
Polidori.
Polidori is a fraud, and I will not countenance his writing. So that's a lot of deep history on Byron, who's sort of that kind of figure. Yeah. And then we didn't even really get into that like summer. In Geneva with Byron is when Mary Shelley was challenged.
Angie, what's up? Oh my gosh! So Angie, we're talking about vampires.
Yeah. And
Angie apparently has the dirt on some newer kinds of vampires.
What?
Yeah, Angie is super into like a newer breed of vampire that she can talk about.
Oh, New York City vampires.
Possibly.
Okay.
Yes. See, Angie, if you want to go live with us at any time,
feel free.
Just send a request and we will accept. Well, yeah, we'll. Oh, you'll chat. Okay. Oh, there's no way that you can look bad. Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's because she's a vampire and
you're immortal. You're immortal, and if you're hanging out with some vampires like us, of course you're going to look flame.
So we were giving like a history of different vampires. Can I talk about one more like sexy lesbian vampire?
Well, I want Angie to via chat. She can fill us in. I do want to talk with her.
Oh, while she's typing about the vampires that she knows, can I talk about a lesbian vampire?
No, you can't talk about something else.
A lesbian? No, I just want to talk about a lesbian vampire.
Okay, tell us about the lesbian vampire. Carmilla?
Yeah. Yes, Carmilla. And so this is also, I think it's a short story. It's by Lefang. No, Lefan. Oh no, my vampire tooth. Well, I don't have one tooth. It's because the story was so hot. I was thinking of it.
They're not made for live
They're
streaming.
not made. I actually took it out because I'm talking about lesbian vampires and
yeah.
You know.
Your fang is on the left.
Yeah.
You're top.
Yeah. Yes. So you should read. It's a short story. It's like I think what is it like 100 like words or so? I don't know.
I mean, 100 words.
100 pages. Sorry.
We didn't actually read the story. We just know about it.
It's called Carmilla.
You should read. You're not allowed to recommend stuff to.
Well,
you should read.
Because I didn't read it.
We didn't read it. I can't even read. I don't know how I did all this research.
So, it's about a young girl who longs for a companion. She's like trapped in this castle, with her father, and she kind of like wills this woman named. She has like 3 different names, and they're all like palindromes of each other, right?
Yeah, she's Carmilla, or Lady Mircalla.
Mircalla, yeah, which is what an awesome
or
name.
Miralaka. Anyway, this is totally important and off topic. I don't care about Carmilla. I want to hear about Angie's vampires.
Okay, so Angie, tell us about some vampires, but read Carmilla because it's awesome.
Okay, well, yeah, what you're referencing is that there's like a whole Puerto Rican vampire style.
No.
I thought you were talking about that. What are you talking
about?
No,
this is another thing that came out before Dracula.
What?
Carmilla.
No, what Angie's talking about.
Oh, when I was like, can I talk about lesbian vampires?
I thought when you were like, Angie's an expert on certain vampires, I thought you were talking about like.
Oh, Angie, what?
There's like nightlife vampires.
She wants to know about
See?
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for vampire mansplaining.
I'm sorry. I thought she was gonna give us like, oh, by the way, I know about this vampire cult of like Dominicans
Angie knows about
or something. And
is
I wanted to hear about it.
Is it not True Blood? It's like one of the Angie. What are you an expert on? What vampire? It's not True Blood. It's like one of those.
Twilight?
No, the Adderall vampires. Tell us about those.
Wait, what's the Adderall vampires? I didn't know that was a.
No, Vampire Diaries. There you go. Yeah. Tell us about Vampire Diaries.
Adderall vampires is staying up really late, so you're like a night dweller, I guess.
Yeah.
You take Adderall or something.
You're a natural Adderall.
I'm a real vampire.
Yes.
I don't need.
Not yet. I said not yet.
Yeah. What are the Vampire Diaries?
Vampire Diaries. Yeah. Angie, tell us about the Vampire Diaries. But yeah, Carmela. While you type about this, it's Carmilla, I believe, because right, Mircalla, yeah. And basically, so there's this young girl named Laura, and she wants a playmate, and she dreams of this woman named Carmilla. But actually, it turns out not to be a dream, because they actually did meet when they were younger, but Carmilla had never aged. And then Carmilla comes to meet her, and it is like very there's like scenes of like seduction. A lot of times like they're playing or they're hanging, they're chatting, and yeah, it gets a little bit sexy. And we won't ruin the ending, but it doesn't end well. Okay, Vampire Diaries is a young woman who loses her family, and this guy saves them. But when she falls, her brother, who is falls for her brother, who's darker, but they've met before. Oh yeah, so there you go. Like that's like a common like trope.
It is. Okay, yeah, it probably is. They borrowed a lot from like previous vampire literature. Isn't it sad when you like realize something's just totally based on some other thing? I guess.
No, that's like
this movie that I loved was just a remake of another like better version of this movie.
I think that's like amazing, because like everything is connected, and it's great that like art continues to feed off of other art.
Yes.
And yeah, you're like no incest, but
so the NYC ones are. Yeah, the NYC vampires, the Adderall vampires, is like, it's like a nightclub, like a crew. Are they burners? What are they doing?
They call it turning it off. When anything happens, turning it off. What is? That's like a mystery. Like, what does that mean? Yeah, and I guess there's like all these. The reason why vampires are like sexy, I think.
Turning off, no emotion.
Oh, yeah.
Much like the vampires. Yeah, or they just, like, kill you and then suck your blood.
Well, there's been, like, this new...
A night and just...
An all-nighter and just rage.
Yeah.
And
actually... Adderall vampire means no emotions.
Oh. So that would be... You really are a vampire. I'm like...
No. See, I think that's a misinterpretation of vampires, because... Vampires are part of the tradition of like romantic and gothic literature, which was actually about writing about emotions. Prior to like romantic literature and gothic literature, there was way less exploration of like the inner thoughts and turmoil and emotions of like your main characters. That was like the thing that, I mean, Byron wasn't a novelist, but like Mary Shelley, for example, who wrote Frankenstein, like a huge amount of it, despite it being about, you know, a monster that kills the scientist who made him fiance. Despite that, huge amounts of time spent on the inner turmoil of the characters and them like talking about like their feelings and how upset they are, or like how depressed the monster is and all of that. Okay.
Adult vampires. NYC people partying at night.
The night crawlers.
Well, so sleeping late was actually like, it's like a newer. Yeah, or like, sorry, it used to be just sleeping late. Like in Carmilla, they they said that like Carmilla slept till 1 a.m. but she could, or till 1 p.m. Sorry, but she could go out in the day, and then like it was really Dracula that like made the rules where vampires I think couldn't go out.
Well, I think just back in like the early to late 1800s when a lot of this stuff was written, staying up late sucked. It was like really boring, right?
And
like,
it's
what
like
would you
it
do?
means that you're like wealthy
There's,
too.
like,
that you don't have to work. You don't have to like because you
That's
had
true.
to like get up and
you had to work the next day, and also like candles were expensive.
Yeah. Oh.
How much money are you gonna spend on fucking candles?
Get our candle.
Unless you're like Louis. Unless you, what are you, Louis the 14th in here? You got candles all over the place.
A vampire. Ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
We're wealthy.
But yeah, staying up late was like I think both like expensive. You had to make your candles out of like animal fat. It was like a whole thing. Yeah, it was expensive, and there was like not even that much to do unless you also like had a bunch of live musicians to play music for you. Yeah. Even then, you probably had a television at least, right? Or like electric lights. But yeah, imagine it's like the mid 1800s, and you're like, I'm gonna stay up till midnight, and it's like, yeah, and there's no electricity back. So it's like the sun goes down, and you're like, well, it's just fucking dark now. We could light a candle and like carry this around, but yeah. You play bingo, you take your ass to bed.
Yeah, or you read, you stay up and write Frankenstein like Mary Shelley.
Yeah, if you have if Koo is like pretty well off, yeah, if like a class you can afford candles, and you're like, okay. That's it. There's no TV. There's no nightlife. They don't have EDM. There's no hip hop. They don't have strobe lights. What are you gonna do? No fog machines? Come on.
You just had fog.
Actual fog. Let's go out on the moor. And walk around.
It's foggy.
I think that's probably, you're like, well, at least there's a full moon, so that's cool. Like, but yeah, it's nothing to do. So, if you slept late, something was seriously wrong with you, because you're like, look, we all go to bed at like 8 p.m. because there's nothing else going on anyway. So what are you even doing if you're like sleeping past 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
You're like, the sun is up. We can actually do things now. Let's get to it.
So Carmilla, famously, lesbian,
slept until 1 p.m. And there wasn't even shit to do at night except for her, I guess, kill people.
Eat pussy. And actually,
she did sneak into various bedrooms.
She would turn into.
What'd she turn into?
A pussy. She would turn into a cat.
Oh, she turned into a cat.
Yeah. So the whole like bat thing was also popularized by Bram Stoker.
Yeah, Dracula uniquely bats.
He was like everything though. He was fog. He was bats.
Dracula could be fog and he could be bats. I think that's all he was.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, he was maybe something else.
And I don't know that he was a single bat. He just exploded into bats somehow. It's like a ninja who throws a smoke bomb of bats. I was made of bats.
Should we try and summarize Dracula like super fast, back and forth, like one sentence at a time?
No.
Okay.
It's just too long.
It's so long, and there's a lot of letter writing.
Yeah, at least for like late 1800s, it's a very interestingly structured novel, I guess. Let's talk about
the crow. Oh.
Yeah, so they got.
Oh, that's my spirit animal. It's a crow.
Damon. Wow, Damon was the bad brother's name. That's like an obvious, demon.
Yeah.
Was the good brother named Angel?
He's a really Buffy and Angel. Very good example of the Byronic trio. Yeah.
Oh, you should tell. So rather than recount the plot of Dracula,
he was sexy and he wanted. He did, but it was like he could only. He was like, I can't because I could kill you, but I don't love you, but if I could love, then I would. But here's my jaw. Like that's the Byronic hero.
Yeah, vampires are very commitment.
Pecs. Like yeah.
I was gonna say you should summarize more. Why is Dracula famous? Because at the time Bram Stoker wrote Dracula, and when it came out, it was not actually like a big deal. Everyone was like, "We got vampire novels. There's already like a dozen of them out there. This is not unique." Why did Dracula? Why is Dracula the quintessential the prototypical vampire?
Because of Bela Lugosi, who's famously dead.
Pretty much, yeah. Because Bela Lugosi, yeah. When you think of a vampire, or this, me right now is me just doing Bela Lugosi.
Well, a combination because you think of dark hair probably.
Just a really, yeah, maybe.
But that hairstyle.
But a really great Italian actor.
When you think of Macklemore, you think of vampires.
Oh, Stefan was a good brother.
You're giving me super Macklemore vibes right now.
Vampire vibes.
Yeah. But actually, because Bram Stoker's wife, oh yes, okay, yes, let's go live. We'll finish that thought. Bram Stoker's wife sued the directors of Nosferatu because they stole all their stuff from Dracula.
They just ripped off Dracula.
They ripped off Dracula, and then she sued them. She shut down, got the whole studio shut down, and then she was like, we're gonna copyright Dracula and we're gonna make a play, and then
make our own play so they can't.
And then Bela Lugosi
starred on Broadway.
Yeah.
Dracula was a play, is what made it really famous on Broadway, and then they filmed the movie, and Bela Lugosi was the lead in the movie.
Yeah.
And so when you're like, I want to suck your blood. Yeah, that's just Bela Lugosi's delivery of Dracula.
Okay, let's go.
Great actor.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Ariel.
Hey!
Uh-oh, we're getting jumped.
I love that long explanation of Dracula.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, have you read...
And the Macklemore...
The Macklemore vampire?
I mean, I didn't know he was... I guess I did know Macklemore is immortal. I didn't know that Alex was reincarnated as Macklemore.
Yep. About to drop another single, right?
You guys look amazing. You guys look like you took time to put yourself together. But you are immortal, so you have plenty of time to do it.
Yeah, we had a lot of time.
We had to do it in the dark, though. It was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had to do it in the dark.
We had to prepare in our
we're vampires.
Because we're vampires,
In our coffins.
We had to do it by candlelight, which is very expensive.
You must have coffins from pre-war coffins that are pretty big, because small coffins now they're pretty small.
Yeah.
That's it.
When my brother passed away, he needed a double wide coffin because he was a big man.
Oh, because he wanted to get ready. He was like, I gotta look amazing.
Yeah, you gotta look good. You gotta look good when you die, right? I mean, I don't know. I think when I go, I want to look bad so people could be like, yo, that's messed up. He looks really bad. He looked great while he was here, but he's gone now, so he looks bad.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be how it goes? It shouldn't be like, wow, he looks like he's sleeping. No, I don't want to look like I'm sleeping. I want to look like...
That's... You're like, make it look like I'm doing a blooper photo.
They could put a spring load it in your coffin so that when people lean over, you pop up a little bit.
Yeah. That'd be great, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good.
And then I'll have a recorder say, "Where's my money, motherfucker?"
There you go. We want money. Put it in the coffin.
Where's my money at?
Oh, that's interesting. You know what? It's really interesting. That was not a way ever to stop vampires. Was they're giving them money.
Give them money?
Yeah.
No.
Because earlier we were talking about people used to think they would open up coffins all the time, and they were like, these corpses are definitely coming out at night and feeding on people. They had this thought. They had all these ways that they were trying to stop them. But yeah, paying them.
Money was away.
I was like that wasn't a way, but you would think they were shove a brick in their mouth, bury them backwards. That's one we didn't talk about.
Oh, you bury them like upside down?
Yeah, because if they try and dig out.
Cutting their heads off, burying their heads separately, burning them alive. Oh,
Yeah.
Someone always calls me when I'm with you guys. Why?
Oh.
They want to get involved.
Yeah.
And then I can't hear you, so I have to click out and come back because I can't hear you.
Oh. Oh, he's got to come back. Okay.
He's got to come back. Oh, he lost his sound.
Maybe that's what happens with Dave sometimes.
No, okay. Dave just has headphones. Like, his headphones will, like, unpair.
They'll, like, unpair.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Unvampire.
It's uniquely Dave, probably. How's your...
There we go. Yay!
There we go.
In the age of not calling people, every time I'm on a Zoom or on Instagram or any of these things, someone appears to call for no reason.
They want to chat?
Yeah.
That's it.
They're envious. They're like, they want you all to the...
I guess
so. We were going to ask, because we're talking about not just vampires, but all kinds of monsters. So, like, werewolves, vampires, Frankenstein monster, like a reanimated thing, zombies. What do you think is, like, the scariest...
Or coolest
monster? So not serial killers and not ghosts, but monsters.
I guess I would say... Wow, because when you really think about it, I mean, I guess technically I would say a werewolf would be the best one just because it's only on full moons, right?
Yeah.
So it's not every day. You're still strong, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still have super senses during the other days of the month or year or whatever.
Oh, true, yeah.
Yeah, you're still super strong. You still, like, the women, smell your pheromones and go crazy because they're like, ooh, he's a dog. He gonna get that. Yeah.
I love it.
Or the gay man say, ooh, he can get that.
He's a pup.
So,
He's a pup. That's a, yeah.
So,
I think
vampires, like, only at nighttime, I want to go to the beach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a werewolf could go to the beach. He could tan, he can have a regular life. Just for that one day, he could plan his calendar pretty well and be like, hey, he can have a normal life most time, but like, hey, I just can't scratch nobody. I have short nails.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All year round. I'd probably wear like gloves as a fashion statement.
Now you can totally do that. You're like, oh, Corona, like, it's the time for this.
Corona gloves.
You put a muzzle on so you can't bite anybody, too.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah.
Well, but you can control biting,
Well,
yeah.
So it depends if the werewolf you're thinking of flies into, like, a murderous rage when he becomes a werewolf, or if you're still in your right mind while you're the werewolf.
But, even if he goes into a murderous rage, or if he goes into a forest, or he, murderous rage, I probably could lock myself in some kind of dungeon, where I could have a key to get out. Only my human form would know how to use the key.
Yeah.
So, or do I go into the middle of a deep forest every full moon to enjoy the night and hunt rabbits or deers or bears or whatever I want to eat?
That's true.
I don't know.
Yeah, you go on a camping trip just once a month.
Okay.
You go way upstate.
And then whoever's out camping deserves to get eaten, right? Like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
They deserve to get eaten. Like you're not in your house.
You're not in your house. You don't.
It's an animal house. It's the animal house. So
it's Animal Crossing, the original.
All bets are off.
Yeah. So let me eat people.
Oh.
Yeah.
If they cross my path, I'm gonna eat you.
It's
yeah.
true.
Some of y'all might be listening to that, but relax, all right? Relax.
Yeah, it's a hypothetical. We're not saying you're going to eat them now.
Eating of the actual eating.
Yeah, it's just if you were a werewolf.
And
But yeah, so that would be me. I would think I would be a werewolf. Vampires are overrated, man.
Yeah.
Vampires are overrated.
Yeah.
Ariel, as our historian, where do werewolves come from?
So a werewolf, it's like a really similar. Well, people think that the first like mention of them is the like Epic of Gilgamesh, because there's like a
Gilgamesh.
There's like a little part in it about werewolves and
4,000 years ago.
Yes.
One of the first ever written books, or whatever. Events,
yeah.
Had a werewolf in it.
Yeah, it did have a werewolf in it, but at that time they only changed into werewolves in the fall, like only once a year. So it would have been even better.
I mean, I guess if you think about it, I mean, the pharaoh's protectors who were dogs as humans would have been technically considered werewolves also, I would think so.
Yeah, the Egyptians had, they had a bunch of gods
yeah,
of these different animals.
It was more,
so I don't know.
It's always like a thing about like,
Gilgamesh was like raised by wolves, or his friend was raised by wolves.
Yeah, there's a part in it where like someone is like does like a deal with a werewolf, and I forget, that's like slipping my, but I know that that's the first mention of them.
I do like that even 4,000 years ago they were like writing the first, like not even writing it down, just passing it down this epic story, and they're like, wolves are very cool. We got to get a wolf into this. Like,
I mean, but you got to think about it. If you saw a man thing running around that was hairy,
well, yeah,
you might have thought he was a werewolf.
And
you know what I'm saying? Like, or like this creature, this Neanderthal.
That's that is like a key point, because werewolves were associated with like puberty / like the wild part of, you know, like when someone is like becoming a man, like does he go almost like the Jungle Book, like does he go live like in the wild, or does he like go into civilization? And it's about that, like,
someone's actually in the chat, are they immortal or just power? I mean,
yeah, Angie.
I never heard of an immortal werewolf. I think that they did live a longer lifespan probably than normal humans.
But they get old and they turn gray. They're like become a gray wolf.
They turn into gray werewolves.
Gray werewolf. And then like a silver wolf.
You'd be giving up looking beautiful once a month to looking like a beautiful dog once a month.
Yeah.
Beautiful dog.
Yeah, I think that's what you'd be giving up.
Well, I think it hurts.
Yeah, I think it hurts
like
to
really
become
painful,
a werewolf.
like when you're like, oh no, actually.
Movies might just have to make it dramatic.
But that's because they're female.
But during the transformation, even though you'd be like, you probably don't remember that part, because all you remember is...
Yeah, you black out, maybe.
There's probably a blackout point where, you know, you just pass out and that's it.
Yeah.
And then you're just a werewolf, you know? So...
You know what? You'd have to...
I mean, you know, maybe I also chose a werewolf because I had a full beard at 13.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had a full Abraham Lincoln at 13.
You identify.
I've been connected, but I had the full Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
So...
See, it is like very puberty. It's painful, right? It's painful going through puberty, becoming a werewolf. They're like.
I was just saying, you'd have to like lock up your medicine cabinet and hide all the chocolate in your house, because if you like eat a bag of M&Ms or something, like.
Oh, this is like for the female werewolves.
No,
out there?
it's like poisonous for dogs.
Oh, I thought you were like.
No, I'm just saying, you like can't feed chocolate to a dog; it'll like kill it, because dogs can't digest it.
Roland, I'm sorry, my friend Roland just yes, you remember. Thank you for remembering my Abraham Lincoln.
You remember your beard?
Yes.
You know, I got a scar on my face because I was an idiot, and I put Nair on my face because I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that stuff is.
And it burnt my face. Like I still have the little marks. So. I remember that for being an a-hole. So.
You know, sympathize with the werewolf.
Did they call you Teen Wolf in high school?
Was it?
And the eyebrows. My eyebrows wasn't bad.
And the eyebrows.
That's why I hate live. You get people coming in who they talk to for 35 years and they're like, I remember your braids. I remember your hair.
Yeah.
I remember the bowl thingy you had. Yeah. Everybody's coming through.
I mean, a fade is cool to have when you're.
That's
you're
why.
13.
This is why I love live. This is why I love having guests on, because people just show up.
Yeah, like what? There's a werewolf bar mitzvah song, right?
Yeah, from 30 Rock, the song Werewolf Bar Mitzvah with Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, and it's like, should I find it? Should I pull it up?
We'll play it at the next
When
segment.
people ask me what do I want in my career, I tell them I just want to be Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want my friend to die in like a tragic car accident, but I just want like his career outside of that. Like just be a funny person, and that's it, and making money off of that. Tracy Morgan is my idol.
I think I found.
I think he's everyone's idol. He's super talented and like a really nice guy.
But he was doing it for so long, like, yeah. Anyway,
I think I found Werewolf Bar Mitzvah. If you want to listen to it,
we'll play it when we end like this.
Oh
hour,
yeah, well yeah.
At the end of the hour, we got like 5 more minutes. Or
okay, sweet.
So we gotta reset.
Then I don't want to hold you up. Well, can someone else jump in with these two beautiful people? Let's hear about what's your choice in life? What do you want to be? You know, you want to be a werewolf? You want to be
It's a good question.
You know, gargoyle? What do you want to be?
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about gargoyles.
Oh yeah, Yeah, we have like a whole bunch of zombies and which I don't think anyone wants to be.
We didn't talk about.
I don't think anyone wants to be a zombie.
No. But mummies though.
Like the worth of it. Because
yeah.
You have no recollection of your former self.
Yeah.
I think vampires and werewolves and gargoyles and what other animals and witches and most of these other ones still have a recollection of their human selves.
Yeah.
Which I think is what keeps them grounded or keeps them motivated to do what they do.
It's
a zombie is like, I just want brains. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
It's not.
That's back. You know?
Yeah. But I think I kind of like mummies because
it's embarrassing. Zombies are embarrassing because they're like it's like your bro who keeps hitting on girls at the bar. He's like,
yo, you embarrassing me.
Yeah,
like, if I was a werewolf, I'd be like, yo, you embarrassing
chill
us.
out.
You know,
just be cool. Brains will come to you. Yeah.
Yeah, as a monster community activist, you're embarrassing us as a community.
It's like
and I don't want you around.
I mean, you know what? Those zombies are using the secret.
they're just actualizing.
Yeah, they're actualizing what they want. They're just stating, you know.
They're imagining the brain.
They're imagining the brain. They're really focused on it. That's all they can think about.
You know, I could understand if they ate the brain and became smart for a while. Then I could understand it. But like to eat it just to eat it.
Yeah, just to eat it, just because that's what they want.
I just want to eat your brain, please.
Ooh, I love that.
That'd be good. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they do. They do.
Zombies do too much. Yeah.
No, she said Angie said they do too much K.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Which is, yeah, it's true. Angie's like, you're really great. Angie's being really great with like saying what drug the different creatures. Angie, what drug would werewolves do? If they probably drink.
What drug would I do?
What drug would you do? Yeah.
Drugs right now. And also, one day I want to get high with someone, but I want them to, you know, I want to be safe.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Angela, what is
Angilda.
that? Angilda. Well, how do you pronounce it?
Angilda.
Coke. Because you see these nostrils?
Not you. She's saying werewolves.
Well, he said he would be a werewolf.
Yeah,
somebody else. Come on. Well, then maybe I'll just rub it
on your what? Yeah.
On your werewolf teeth.
Your werewolf gums.
No, the werewolf.
The werewolves.
Yeah.
I feel like no, because when they come back to their human body, they're like, oh my god, what have I done? They like look at them. They have like a big, you know. Maybe it's Molly though. Maybe they're just like
no, because they're not loving.
True.
No, that would be Frankenstein's monster.
Yes.
Maybe on Molly, because he really just wants to be loved by his creator, and he wants like a girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah. With good facts. Oh, she said WEAR.
Yeah.
Yeah,
werewolves.
not werewolves.
I think Frankenstein is the better sexual monster, though, right? Because you got the little two things to hold on to.
Like the pig, the original handlebars.
While I tear it up, you know.
It's true. Well, literally,
And he gets hit with electricity too. He gets like a jolt.
Like a vibrator.
Yeah.
He comes to life They just use a giant vibrator on.
He might be the metrosexual monster. Like vampire might get too extra, you know.
Yeah, I mean vampires are they're like oh no I can't. Like they're like okay maybe I will, but like only your neck, only like.
Yeah. Well.
But and Gilda, do you want to live forever? That's a true question. My great grandmother lived to 106, almost 105 years old, and watched so many of her friends and family die. I don't know if that's something cool.
It's like being immortal, almost. Yeah.
Immortal is like a lot of pain that goes through that. So I don't know.
She's evil. She goes, yes. That's amazing. She's like, I love pain.
You sound delicious then, Gilda. Good luck on your vampire quest for ultimate power.
Angie's kidding. Angie's like the sweetest person.
She's so sweet. Well,
yeah.
During the day.
Angie's the sweetest person. Yeah.
But then, and I guess so too. Like, right, when you do the math, technically there's more light than day, so you lose a lot more life being a vampire.
It's true, unless you're in like the very cold place, like Antarctica.
Yeah,
vast area.
Yeah, you summer in the northern hemisphere, and then you go to Australia during the winter. You know, you get the whole hybrid.
Yeah, you go to Australia, you have that 6 months of night. Is it Australia or?
That's Antarctica.
That's
Antarctica, but it's only half the year.
Yeah, so you go to Antarctica.
So you go there half a year. You ain't even got nobody to eat half a year. You ain't even got nobody to chill with.
True.
Well,
you're chilling with yourself because it's cold.
You get one of the sad. You get the sad lamp, or like a ring light, or whatever. So like.
Yeah.
And you just hang out with that. So
a selfie light. You're just like taking selfies for.
I guess so.
Oh, but you can't see your reflection.
Would be better because you could do like a spell, take someone's youth, and live a lot longer. You know, I would rather that than like having to play around with light and day and stuff like that. The sunlight kills me. Garlic kills me.
It's true.
Like all these things kill me.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, you gotta stay in your lane if you're a vampire. You can't. Yeah. It's restricted.
Especially these days where everyone has like. You know, everyone has an access to steak. There's steakhouses all over the place.
Nice.
That's true. I would like my steak rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No seasoning. Hold on, put your hand on it.
Yeah.
But they put garlic on everything too now.
They do. They put garlic.
Since like Emerald, right? There's like garlic all over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, Emerald's just throwing garlic on stuff. Like,
he was the original.
So that you eat stuff and then you get sick. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I said maybe witches might be better because they can do a spell and live a long time and not get jacked up.
But witches, we were talking about monsters. Witches was last week.
We're talking specifically about, I think, like revenants, which are like the dead that have come back.
Monsters? I don't know. Witches could be.
Witches are humans who communicate who are like a cult and no magic.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. We're talking about like the dead that's been reanimated or given new life. Because like werewolf or like a human adjacent, I guess. Yeah.
Wait, we should set up for the break.
We're
gonna get booted.
So we're gonna get booted in 1 minute. So we'll play Werewolf Bar Mitzvah. Let me just make sure that this is.
So for everybody watching, we're gonna take like a little 5-minute break.
Enjoy your show, guys. Thank you for having
Thanks for calling in. It's great chatting with you.
Yes.
I love you guys.
Love you too.
Bye.
Here's some Werewolf Bar Mitzvah.
It's just like the Monsters Ash helmet. It's great. Werewolf Bar Mitzvah. Men becoming wolves. Werewolf Bar Mitzvah. Spooky, scary.
Okay, so you guys, we're just gonna go find some shade, and we will be back in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna keep the Twitch running, but we have a little intermission screen that we're gonna pop up.
Yes.
So Instagram.
Wait.
We'll see you in a little bit. You gotta do one.
All right, we'll be back.
Okay, those of you on Twitch, Great job. Those of you on Twitch, I'm going to switch over to our We're Starting Soon logo, and we'll see you guys in 5-10 minutes.